I know, you see, somehow the world's gonna change for me, and I already started recording.
Hello and welcome to Weebanomics. This is Kairy Luminous at KairyLuminous on Twitter.com, and these are my hosts, just the one.
All three of me. Just one of each of my personality. Okay, I guess I'll introduce myself. Me, I am Weebanomics. I am the unknown otaku. I am the known otaku. We all say hi. And you can find us nowhere. Because we're a figment of our imagination, all three of us. And today we will be watching a little show. Well, we'll be talking about a little show called Bofuri. So, Kairy, what is this show about?
Well, this is a show about New World Online. It's basically Sword Art Online ripoff, but comedy version.
I wouldn't exactly call it a ripoff.
And good. Okay, parody. Parody of the
Because
MMO,
it's a little
VR
it's
MMORPG.
a little strange she calls something that's like better in every aspect of a ripoff.
Uh,
Oh, oh, oh. It's
yes,
a good thing we don't have any Sword Art Online fans on the podcast roster.
right now.
Ever. We never have.
Anyway, yes, so the main character, Maple, she decides the main character Maple puts all her stats into defense because like the in-game thing said, oh, if you raise your defense, you take less damage. So you're like, oh, if my defense is high enough, then I'll never take any damage. So she maxes defense and ignores everything else, the entire thing, and it's her crazy adventures of how she becomes overpowered weirdly, and it's hilarious. Is that pretty much how you would describe it?
Yeah, it's strange because, as we all know, um, Maple was actually extremely knowledgeable about the game. She was actually a beater, is what they called it inside the show. She was a beta tester cheater that completely knew the right stats to go into to be the most overpowered player in existence. And she wanted to prove it on the first competition by being lower level than everyone and never move and still got third place. Third place by not moving.
You're also lying, by the way. That's not at all how it goes. The whole charm of the show is that she's a stupid dumbass who's so adorable. That's the whole thing. A stupid dumbass is overpowered for no reason.
Yeah.
That's the whole charm of the
I
show.
wouldn't say no reason. I mean, the blonde hair, the blue eyes, the Aryan race. I don't
Well, that's
know.
because of her angel form. Because she's also transforms. Make
It's
sure to put a ping of the angel form there in the background if you can.
nice. Angel form is great. All right,
Yeah,
so yeah, this is just a story about her maxing out her defense. She's very clueless about literally everything. She's what's it called? It's like, okay, what is an MMO? That's pretty much how clueless she is. She goes and comes into this world, doesn't want to get hit. She gets hit, but she takes no damage because she maxed it out to the point of this bunny she found was just hitting her, and she was just playing with the bunny, and her stats kept going up while she was playing with the bunny.
oh yeah, she unlocked a skill that doubled her defense after playing with a bunny for an hour. That was it's completely unbalanced the
As
game.
well as an item that doubled it.
Yeah, and there were items that double. Everything doubles pretty much in this show. And
Which
then
is
sometimes it's just like, oh, actually, we'll give you 3% once. And it's like, how does that help at all? But yeah.
how does 3% compare to fucking doubling?
Yeah, doubling every time. It's crazy.
double the double.
And one of her skills that she unlocked was like, oh, you restore 10% of your HP in 10 minutes. Like, what? How does that... The randomness of the balancing is kind of insane.
There's only a few games that I know that would actually be very useful. And the only reason is that it's one of those turn-based kind of MMOs. Man. Or turn-based RPGs where it works during battle. So technically, if you just AFK long enough in battle, your health will go back to full every time you want to attack. Purely, those are the only times I can see that being useful, or you just running a really long distance. Unless 10 minutes is referring to in-game time, because we're not...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it could be. Because here's the thing, we're not sure how much it converts. There are some games where 1 minute is 1 second. So if it's 10, what's it called? If it's 10% every 10 seconds, that's actually really fucking strong. But, you know, we have absolutely no idea what the conversion rate is. There's not enough evidence to even figure out what the conversion rate is. They just say stuff and then they're like time skipping through everything, so we have absolutely no idea. But yeah, she maxes out her defense, gets a whole bunch of abilities. She finds new ways that people have never really done anything, and people still can't find out how she's done any of it. But people are trying to be as strong as her. Even going to the most intense thing is where the best players inside the game sees the things that she has and is like dumbfounded to the point of where he will say, no, she did it clearly by not cheating. It was probably some secret boss or hidden event or whatnot. She followed the rules. Only for her to show a new thing right after that, for him to say the same line, but he had absolutely no confidence in what he was saying, and it was very clear he also felt like that was cheating.
Yeah, it was pretty great.
But that's pretty much the story.
Yeah.
A girl, so 18-year-old and clueless, goes and does a certain thing in a game just purely because she doesn't want to get hurt, and becomes the most overpowered person inside the entire game, to the point that they're now balancing the game around her. Like, when it comes down to it, she gets abilities like Devour and whatnot.
Yeah.
And then
Just
and then they balance that around her.
by the end of the series, though, there's an entire scene where it's like, okay, we give up on balancing her. Just let her do whatever. That was like truly defeated.
Yeah.
True.
There's also what's it called? They introduced an entirely new attack to the entire game just because of her, called piercing damage. So that
Kind of, yeah.
so that even if they have a complete 100% nullification, the piercing damage will still have a little bit of the damage due to them. So it will still hit, just barely though. Imagine being so overpowered, you need an entirely new system to fight. I've done something like that. Not gonna lie. I've accidentally made one thing too strong.
Let's see. Okay, the world. It's like let's talk about the world.
The world!
Yeah. The world. It's like it goes from like fantasy world type of Sword Art Online sort of thing to like a steampunk sort of thing.
Hmm.
All
I
types of areas.
Yeah, it changes from level to level. Each level completely different, have a completely different kind of setting and whatnot. I do like how there are just some places that you go to inside the world where it will always be like a sunset kind of feel to it and whatnot. Because it's permanently in a sunset zone apparently. And it was like that's cool, nice scenery. Um, I think it would be real fun to kind of live to actually go into this kind of thing. I don't know if I'd play like so long if there was like actual other games because this one seems to be a little broken, just a bit. But yeah, um, the world is pretty cool. That's mostly what I
Mm,
was thinking.
the game mechanics. I love the I love Sally being able to like basically use her real life abilities, her like real life agility in the game, and like she's so naturally talented that it translates to her being able to mimic skills.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a good. I mean, it's because you're actually practicing it inside the game. So technically, the more you practice in the game, the more your reflexes will get better in real life. I mean, what's it called? What's it called? Even nowadays, if you are practicing stuff on game, your reflexes can get better in like real life. Although your reflexes may be a little wrong. So instead of trying to catch something or whatnot, you might try to press a button. Kind of like how Maple's reflexes were also improving, but she tried to put a shield up, and the volleyball hit her right in the face.
Yeah, it brought up some interesting thoughts like, oh, what if you could actually live in a game world for weeks at a time?
Oh,
Would it
that would
how
be
would it
terrible.
affect you? How would it affect you in real life?
You
It,
wouldn't be able to move.
ah,
You can't just go a whole week without moving without some really drastic consequences to your body.
that makes sense to me.
Yeah. Like even you just like slightly getting up to go to the bathroom or standing up for a little bit is enough to counteract like the massive undertaking it is to not move for a week. uh,
Ah,
yeah, when it comes down to it, if someone was to like go like weeks at a time, they would probably be worse off in real life. But if they practice a good amount inside the game, actual like no shit scenario shit stuff inside the game, I think it would be super beneficial. It seems like it could be an interesting topic. But yeah, um, when it comes down to it, there's just a lot of the mechanics inside there. I mean, when we were bringing up devour and whatnot,
yeah.
that was that was a pretty cool ability. Not gonna lie, that was I knew just from the start of it, and it was like, okay, that ability, while it's cool, it's really overpowered. It's really overpowered
Yeah.
because it's. I don't know if it was like based off of her defense or if it was like literally doesn't matter what it is, she just consumes it. She was like the average anime girl meeting a fucking bread loaf. She just consumed it all. Uh, it just what's it called? So if it was an attack, it'd consume it. If it was a person, it'd consume it. If it was an NPC, it'd consume it. If it's like some really fucking powerful boss that there's no way to beat, it consumed it and beat it. It was literally just the most overpowered shit there was. And it's like, I'm just like, what are the fucking limitations of this? Well, they eventually add limitations, and now I think it's a little weak.
Yeah.
Because the limitations is 10 times every
24 hours?
Yeah, something like that. I think it was 10 times a day. And that's fine. It would still be overpowered if it was 10 times a day. I still think it would be overpowered. But the issue to make it underpowered is that any accidental touch with the shield activates it. So if you fall and your shield hits the ground, it will eat that ground, and then if you don't lift it up, it will eat the ground again, and it will just keep doing it. It'll just keep eating the ground until it uses all 10 of the charges. Or, if you throw stuff at it, it will use the charges. So someone like Sally would probably never get hit by that Devour. In fact, they will just waste the 1-day cooldown by just throwing rocks at it. So it's like, man, now I think Devour's just a bit underpowered. Ugh. But, yeah. And, her getting Devour was probably one of the really funniest ways. Oh, speaking of game mechanics, I love how they get their abilities. They go out and have to fulfill like random conditions that seem completely random to you, but technically anyone who fulfills those conditions can get the ability. And it's pretty cool. It's really cool to see. So she got Devour from she got so much into her poison resistance that she became immune to poison fighting a boss because she had a little bit of poison resistance, and the more times she got hit by poison, the more her resistance to it went up. And then she just kept popping all of her health potions until she became immune to it. Which, by the way, if you actually looked at it, every time it was getting her more poison resistance, her health bar still kept going down the same amount the entire time. It was almost like none of it mattered until it was immune. But, yeah. It was just constantly using up all of the health potions. But then she finally became immune to poison. And then the boss tried to beat her with physical attacks. Well, the poison didn't work, and the boss could not hurt her. The thing is, the boss already destroyed her shield and her weapon, so she had absolutely no way to attack. So she brought out her chompers and just started eating the boss until it died, which gained her the ability called Devour.
Oh no, she got it later after she ate a bunch of ladybugs.
You're right. No, she got the Hydra ability. I forget what I think she got the Hydra ability from that, and then she got Devour from eating a lot of stuff. You're right. She got the Hydra ability from it. Devour got from the ladybugs that tasted like explosive candy or something.
Yeah.
Which would be fucking amazing, by the way. And then, so Devour was just absolutely overpowered as shit, and she got the Hydra ability for completing it in the most unique way possible, I guess. Because there's no one else there that we've seen with poison immunity. or anyone who we've known to even try to just eat something. Ugh. I'm sure when you I'm sure when the ability's name is revealed to be Devour, there's probably some people out there trying to figure it out and might eventually start eating stuff to figure it out, to try to unlock it. Ugh. But doesn't Devour also give you like a higher chance to get the stuff that you're killing and whatnot? Or is it all?
Mhm.
I don't know. I was wondering because it seemed like every time she used Devour on something, she was just getting stuff from it all the time. Like every new thing that she would fight, she almost would just get an ability from it. So I was kind of wondering if it mentioned anything about if it devoured it, it gives them the hidden spells or whatnot abilities. So I was kind of curious if Devour was like really like a slime isekai gluttony. I don't know. What do you think?
Uh, I just blinked. What happened?
Devour.
Oh, Devour. What did I think of it? It.
No, I was saying,
Oh.
what do you think? What's it called? Because Devour in slime isekai, or what's it called? Devour inside the Devour inside this game, it goes and almost every time she uses it on something new, she gets an ability from it. So I was wondering, did the game world mention anything about Devour being, one of those things where if you use it on an NPC, you get their abilities or something like that? Because
Uh,
that seems like it could be super useful. Because it's almost every single time she used it on a new thing, she would learn it.
yeah. Apparently, I am actually on the wiki page, and eating things is considered an HP drain effect, and their abilities are can be gained, but only through HP drain effects. Certain
Ah,
abilities. So technically, it doesn't have to be eating, but it has to be something that is considered an HP drain.
well then.
That's interesting.
I get.
So,
Damn, that just makes Devour way more overpowered because using it just
oh
gives
wait,
you so.
no, no, eating things. Devour the skill. The devour skill. Let me see.
It should count.
Let I should, but I want to make sure. A skill that changes everything that was devoured as power will devour even magic and can change its user's MP. Change it to magic power. Blah 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 blah. Admins listed 10 friends. Huh. It doesn't say, but it should be. It should be an HP drain.
It's literally Devour. It's literally eating the thing.
Yes.
But yeah. So that would explain why every time Maple uses Devour, it just learns her abilities.
Yeah.
All right. So that's a thing. And if it was that easy to look up on a Wikipedia thing, then I'm sure a lot of people would eventually start just eating everything.
Yeah, hopefully. Uh, but apparent, and I found out that her Hydra ability, her Hydra, the blah, so the grants the poison dragon skills,
Yep.
was actually an evolution of poison immunity.
Oh.
Her- that's interesting. Like just the way these evolve, it kind of reminds me of the slimy Sakai, the way someone could evolve or mix and do other stuff.
Evolution. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That's good. There's quite a few shows, or not, quite a few games that have evolutions with skills and whatnot.
Yeah.
All right, so I mean that's just Devour. There's still so many more abilities we could talk about.
For reals.
We could go on forever, just like the. But instead, I want to talk about. There's so many specific ways to find abilities and level them up. The more you use it, the more it gets leveled up. The more it happens, it gets leveled up. And so, if you go down and just completely do so much shit, in theory, you could what's it called, learn every ability there is in the game, minus
In
possible.
theory.
Yeah, but you have to find out how to do it all.
Exactly. That's the only thing stopping it.
Yeah, so and there's also stats games. And here I'm wondering if there's literally unlimited stats gains inside the world, or maybe just so many that they refuse to believe anyone's going to actually get all the stats gains. I'm kind of wondering how much there is, purely because I think the event was overpowered with the reward. Now we're not going to talk about the event much yet until later, but the event itself, the reward, was like what, 5, 10, 15% to all stats. I don't remember what it was, but those were permanent stats to everyone in her guild. That's pretty insane. So if what's it called? If that is literally what it was, then the events for one are overpowered as shit. And two, the only way to balance out those events are if you can just get stats throughout the game without just leveling up. You could have to go find stuff to get more stats, which completely will be pretty crazy as a concept later on. People eventually max out everything that they can do, and so the only things left are find more abilities and find stats.
Yeah.
Which I think one reason you'll probably never find all the stats is that people are just going through levels real fast. And we have absolutely no idea what the max level is. And by level, I don't mean character level, I mean realm progression level. They're at level 3. Um, and they keep going up levels throughout the story. And the
Kind of like Sword Art Online.
yeah. And the levels change based off of the events change based off of what level you're at and whatnot. Because what's it called? The first events are kind of like a free for all, whatever. Next events get a little bigger, more of a find stuff. You can bring in a tag team later, giant guild events and whatnot, and then I bet it will be a multi guild event later. uh, but yeah, just the game mechanics of this world. I love it. I think some of the parts were a little, let's just say, unrealistic. What would you say?
The what are unrealistic?
Some of the stuff in the game is kind of unrealistic.
A lot of it is
A lot of it is realistic or unrealistic.
unrealistic.
Yeah. So, how about we talk about it? Which parts do you find most bullshit?
Finding entire unique sets of armor after one event, after one quest. Like like 4 characters did it. Found
Yeah.
the entire set of unique armor. Bullshit.
It's not even like after one quest, it's literally after they kill something and then their treasure chest drops it.
With the entire set. I'm
The
like, no way.
entire thing. Like, that's just bullshit. Yeah. I can't name a single what's it called? I can't name a single fucking game I've ever played that just does that. Unless the entire set counts as one item. That's the only time I can name it sometimes, but even then, that's rare. But yeah, like they just get an entire new set of like really overpowered, really strong stuff. Fucking 50% chance with no cooldown just to fucking come back to life. Fucking reincarnation motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Uh, and just like a lot of shit like that. The coming back to life with no cooldown and whatnot, I don't find that unrealistic. Um, in fact, there is a World of Warcraft item that does exactly just that. There's a trinket with no cooldown, except it's not 50%, and it's not puts you at 1 health. So it's 10% chance, but it actually puts you at a good percentage of health. I think it's 20% health and mana. So it's a little better than just setting you at 1. Yeah, so that's kind of a real item that goes into some MMOs and whatnot for a real ability. Let's see. Some of the unrealistic things, I believe. It's hard to say because we don't know how actual long the events are, but I still say some of these events are unrealistic because a week's worth of time, you're playing the event for a week. Now that's not an issue, except the thing is what's it called? The week that you're playing it, you are going and competing against other fucking guilds, and the only compensation to the smaller guilds is you get double the points when the bigger guilds have like almost 100 times the amount of characters.
Yeah.
I'm just like, okay, clearly there's a bit of balancing issues here. Uh, of course, the smaller guilds win because anime, but in real
Yeah.
life, there's no fucking way. No fucking way they would win.
Well, I wouldn't. They don't really win, but they have. But they like do better than they should. Infinitely better.
Yeah.
Like,
They didn't win per se, but
but they.
they went all the way up to some of the top guilds and beat them purely by because they said screw their last plan to get more points than everyone. They said we'll just knock all the teams off the map. So what they did is they literally just went in and slaughtered all the teams, just all of them, as many as they could, until they forced their way up the score by knocking everyone else off. Which was a pretty fucking funny last plan. But yeah, the time frame, 1 week, 5 lives, and you need to be playing that entire time. So either that 1 week is real life time, and that is a really fucking long time, or that is game time, and it's probably like just a couple hours in real life. But that also means you only have this really strong event once for a few hours, and then you have to wait for the next event that could be any time between a day or a month or who knows how long. It's like I don't think that is exactly realistic because the amount that helps you is truly insane. 15% to all stats. It's like 5, 10, 15. I don't remember which, But any of those is just huge. I don't find that realistic to put into a game. I definitely don't find even the reward itself to ever be realistic. I have
Yeah.
there's no way any game would have that as a reward unless you can infinitely gain stats. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. Is there anything else you find unrealistic about it?
I'm sure there's a lot of stuff, but like nothing. What have we talked about?
Resistance.
The resistances, the skills that double stats.
Yeah, I
Um,
think it's too easy to find those double shits because holy shit, she found it just literally playing with a rabbit.
yeah, within two episodes, she already had three or four skills that doubled her skill her stats, and they were multiplicative. Yeah, multiplicative. I can't even say the word multi.
Multiplicative.
Eh,
I don't
yes,
fucking know.
that's yes. Thank you. Yes, they were
Yeah.
multiplicative or whatever. So when it's like 2 times 2 times 2, so then it's times 8, and then they did the math for the first few times.
Yeah. So she just kept having like stupid amount of armor and whatnot. And I'm just like, okay, that's a bit overpowered. Just a bit.
Yeah, and I found out one of her other ones they did not say the effect of giant killing, which she got in like the second episode. I wish it had said this because this is actually so balanced and so perfect for her. It's called giant killing. When four of your stats other than HP MP are lower than your opponent, your stats other than HP MP are multiplied by 2. Okay, that makes sense. They didn't say why it multiplied by 2 for that first one, but this one is one of the later times 2 ones. So like I like this one. It makes sense why it would times 2. You have to be 4 stats lower, 4 like weaker than them in every way for it to do anything.
Yeah. Is it only times two to the weak stats, or is it times two to all of them besides health and mana,
It
including?
would be it would be to all stats. It would
Oh
still be
damn!
overpowered. It would
So
be overpowered still, but for her it makes sense because anything times 0 is still 0.
nah, she has base level stats, so it should still affect her just a bit though, not much, but a bit.
Yeah.
But it's gonna affect her freaking armor by like insane amount.
Yeah.
All right then. Um, the resistance. I
Resistance.
refuse to believe there's that like that just seems a bit overpowered. Complete immunity forever, passive to an entire form of magic. And in theory, she could possibly go and get it all, like all the resistance. But we're not entirely sure if that is possible. She.
Uh 1 second. I just found out one of the non-anime skills, which just it's so insane. It kind of like makes me want to talk about it.
Sure.
So it's called Venom Incantation. Its effect is poison attacks have a 20% chance of instant death, even if the target is immune to poison.
Hmm.
So anything she attacks with poison has a 20% chance to die, even if it's immune to poison.
That's. Damn, just hit it 5 times. God damn.
I know, right? That's why I had to like cut you off and be like, "Yo, what the fuck is this?" Oh man, that would be entertaining to watch.
That's. I mean, that's broken in the other way, though. It just hit it 5 times and it dies. I mean, just think of raid bosses. Raid bosses would be simple. Get 40 people, go fight, boom, all use it at once. Oh, the instant death. Done.
That's an insane quest.
I like I don't know. I was like this just seems I think that introduces more problems than it solves.
Yeah. It was at least it was a quest reward, so like hopefully the quest is insane. I hope there's a season 2 to show this.
I believe there might be soon. Let me look. As sequel. Yes, there will be a season 2 out in 2022.
Oh, that's awesome.
So look forward to that. But what's it called? Yeah, when it comes down to it, I don't exactly think just completely getting an immunity to a whole resistance is all that balanced.
Yeah.
Or, all that. And if it goes unlimitedly, where you can get immunity to all of them, that's even more insane.
And I found out that she does have multiple resistances.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yes, she is she has 50% resistance to all bomb damage, explosion damage. Where is it? Let's
So, in other words, she could really take a pounding,
yeah,
as she
yeah,
said inside the show.
yeah,
Oh man. So, when it comes down to it, yeah, the fact is, if she has more resistance to other stuff now, that's just overpowered. That means she can theoretically get immunity to everything. She'll get
yeah.
immunity to all this. That makes me wonder. Could you get immunity to Pierce? You're like, I don't want to think about that. If she gets immunity to Pierce, and then if she finds some shield or something that gives her immunity to Pierce, and then she, what's it called, has all that defense, she becomes as overpowered as she was in episode, the tournament. Ugh. It's a relatively newish game. Not exactly new, but it was new-ish enough to where she made it in time for the first event to actually happen.
Yeah.
So that was nice. Um, some of the things that look unrealistic inside the show aren't exactly unrealistic. So one thing is soloing a current raid boss. Now, that sounds unrealistic. It sounds like it shouldn't be a thing. But in reality, it has happened sometimes. If we go and tell another World of Warcraft story, when there was this one raid boss that, some people found it to be a little difficult, but it had absolutely no berserk timer, so you could take as long as you needed. One of the things about this raid boss is it had a lot of mechanics, and if you avoided them all perfectly, it would hurt the boss, it would stun the boss, and do a lot of stuff, so you can deal damage as you run. And it just kept this up. Someone proved that this boss is easy. Everyone just fucking sucks. How did they prove it? Well, they soloed it. A complete whole solo, and this was a current tier raid boss. They just went in and fucking did the entire boss by themselves. Uh, Imagine, just being a guild that constantly wipes on this boss, and then you see someone literally solo it. Oh man, it's like that's the thing that does happen, not as often as they are showing, but it is something that does happen. So that's the thing. Also, putting in a boss that wasn't meant to be defeated. That is something we have actually had. So what it does is Oh my god, Pierce Guard.
Yeah, she gets an ability to defend against Pierce. It apparently she had it even during the events, but it was only mentioned in the web novel.
Damn.
Like, so it doesn't. So it has to be it's an activated effect, but so like she can't do it if she doesn't expect it.
Yeah. All right. So she does get immunity to Pierce almost, but she has to activate it.
Yeah.
So what was I saying? Oh yeah. So other things that sound unrealistic but are actually is defeating a boss that was never meant to be defeated. So back in WoW again, there was this raid called Blackwing Lair. There was bosses that were tuned to be so strong, Blizzard didn't expect anyone to defeat it. So they overtuned it on purpose because they were still making the raid called Blackwing Lair. This was back in 16, 17 years ago, something like that. I don't know. Really long time ago. And they were just seeing they had a group of GMs tuning the bosses as they not as they were fighting, but as battles go on and whatnot. But the furthest one in was not meant to be defeated. It was literally just so overtuned that it shouldn't have died. Well, a group actually found it decently easy for the mechanics, and the way they pretty much did it is stack healers. They stacked so many fucking healers. Um, and they eventually killed it and downed it. It took a long time because there was no such thing as a berserk timer back then, but they did kill it, and Blizzard just flat out wasn't expecting that, and the raid was unfinished. Like they went past it. A whole bunch of things that were supposed to be there weren't there. Some things just flat out didn't have mechanics yet, and just a whole bunch of stuff like that. They eventually closed off it with a wall, and they found the group that was past it. They told them to not glitch past the walls. Thing was, they were already past the point that they put a wall, and they're like, "Oh, well, damn. I guess you can stay then and try the rest of it out." It didn't really help them too much, but they did get to see a little further past it. But a lot of people, after they defeated that boss as well, they were getting past the walls by an old mechanic. You used to be able to duel inside instances, raids, and whatnot. And the way they would get past the walls is the old way fear used to work. Fear could allow you to run through walls. You're literally so scared you just run through it. And, they would get past it that way. So, pretty much what I'm trying to say is they're having bosses that aren't meant to be beaten just yet are things that are inside certain games and MMOs
Yeah.
and whatnot. It's not uncommon. No, actually, I take that back. It probably is uncommon. I would say it's not unheard of.
Oh,
What?
this is in reference to one of the bosses that Maple and her friend beats. We forgot to mention that.
Oh, yeah. They went in and defeated the boss, which is actually wasn't that the one where she got that 1 day cooldown transformation?
Uh, n- I don't believe so.
What did they get from it?
That's where they got the pets, the
Ah,
turtle, the turtle and the
turtle.
fox.
Turtle and the kitsune. which, by the way, really love them.
Love
uh,
the turtle.
oh yeah, freaking Maple, able to ask for pretty much anything for abilities and whatnot, and she gets one ability to make the turtle grow, and then another ability for telekinesis. She has telekinesis, so she can move telephones with her mind. What the fuck does she do with it? Oh, she just wants to only move the turtle. So she grows the turtle
Flying
big.
turtle.
Yep, makes a goddamn flying mount. Goddamn. She has a lot of forms, by the way.
Yeah, she does. 4, I believe, so
Yeah.
far.
She has the war goddess machine thing form. She has her freaking angel form. She has that alien motherfucker looking form, and then she has the most powerful form, Wooly. The Woolly form was actually decently useful for her because she can mix it with her poison so that if anything comes to her, they can't hit her because there's so much poison in the way.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. But it's
Um,
also useful in if they ever needed resources, like wool and whatnot, she just
yeah.
uses it. So she pretty much has unlimited wool now. And I just like how everyone's looking at Maple and it's like, just what the hell is Maple? Because all the abilities she gets are so fucking random and yet they look stupid, but somehow become overpowered as shit. It's like I don't think they were intending Wooly to be able to be mixed with poison for poison Wooly, but it was.
And
uh,
then it showed they could also mix the final cute scene. She mixed Machine God and Wooly, so that way her friends could like throw her around like a volleyball. That was adorable.
yeah.
We basically talking about the entire spoilers. Fuck it.
I mean, we're about an hour in.
Oh, we are. Damn. Well, perfect.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Okay, we've talked about the raid bosses. It's theoretically been possible to beat raid bosses solo. The beating bosses where it's like impossible. There's the GM zone. That's a real
Yes.
thing.
Yes. There is. So, a long time ago, Blizzard had this thing called GM Island. And it was actually in game and possible to get to, but you get banned for getting to it because you had to do so many exploits. It's literally impossible to accidentally get there. There's, I can't conceive of a way to accidentally get to that island when you actually look up what you have to do. You have to go glitch through walls, fall all the way down and to certain areas, res at highly specific places. You're going through walls, and then you're following a specific path so far in the water that you're getting fatigued. And if you're a high level, you're just going to keep dying over and over, and you have to have a way to stay alive. But if you're a low level, you can actually heal through it if you're a healer. Um, and it's pretty crazy. What's it called? When it comes down to it, there's just so much about it that don't know. You just don't know.
Yeah, so that the
Uh,
GM. Go ahead.
so yeah, GMs used to be able to be on their friends list. They used to be actual people in game. They can turn on and off if you can see them or not. And they had their own little island, their own little place where they do all their meetings and whatnot in game until they started getting away from being in game and just started being out of game.
Yeah, so that the whole GMs looking over the top players it was it's not unrealistic.
No, it's
That
actually
part.
still a thing. So
Yeah.
what's it called? What you're talking, like actually looking at their top players and whatnot, it's
Mhm.
actually still a thing. There are GMs that, what's it called? Every single world first attempt, aside from like one, has been accompanied without their knowledge with a GM watching them in game. They're just invisible.
Wow.
So what's it called? That is actually something that is done. Is that GMs are literally like keeping track of the world's first attempts by actually being in there and watching to make sure no one's like cheating or exploiting, or if all of a sudden the boss goes from like 50% to zero. It's like, yeah, there's something to that. So that because looking at code is one thing, but actually just watching and seeing how it's what people are doing is a whole nother beast. And if you know what the bosses are supposed to do, when they're supposed to do it, and what the effects are, then you can see it. Now, I did say all except one time. Let's just say that one time the GM didn't see that there. What's it called? They that entire guild got banned. That's because they were a relatively unknown guild, and so no GMs was actually watching their attempts and taking it
Mhm.
seriously. But they accidentally were mailed something by a GM. They were mailed and to get their items restored, and one of the items they accidentally got mailed was a GM item.
Oh God.
This GM item is so strong that what's it called? Its on usability is just kill everything. So they killed the entire raid just by walking in, using it whenever they see something, and just kept going through and killing everything.
Oof.
So yeah, that was that's what got them all banned. Like the entire guild got like what's it called, a temporary suspension, but the person who used it got a permanent suspension. uh, but yeah, so that's the only time it wasn't really observed. It was an accident, you
Oh,
could say.
and another story. You said there is a way for high levels to not take any damage if they're like a certain class and certain build.
Oh yes, that is actually in current content. So what's it called? A lot of people may think just completely nullifying all the damage and whatnot is unrealistic and whatnot, but that's not actually true. Even in current WoW, what's it called? People are mitigating all the way up to level 60 right now. But the thing is, warriors and paladins, they can actually. Uh, this was all in theory crafting. People are finding out that if you mix a whole bunch of items, which no one has yet, because they're not completely out just yet, they'll be out soon. But once you mix all those items, you can go and mitigate all the way up to your level, 100% of the damage. So when it comes down to it, like the blocking, 100% of the damage for stuff, not unrealistic. In fact, people are thinking you can go even a couple levels higher than you. But for sure, the what's it called, level 70 is mitigation, can be mitigated down to zero, so that they would never hit you, never do any damage. It's called the full avoidance build. It's called the full avoidance build, and they got it all the way up to 100% avoidance. Actually, if I remember right, it's all the way up to 108% avoidance. But yeah, anything above 100% is useless. So that's actually a thing. You can go and mitigate all of it. Uh,
So it's so again another cool thing that isn't inherently unrealistic. It's just the thing. It's fun, right?
Although the difference between Maple doing it and people in World of Warcraft doing it is Maple seems to have abilities that freaking do the damage of her fucking defense or whatnot and just kill shit instantly.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
Other people that do it, you wouldn't really be able to kill like at all,
Oh
except for a paladin. A paladin might be able to. It would take forever for a one-on-one, but then you could just maximize it and probably pull somewhere like a couple hundred things and just spam consecrate. You're still going to take forever to kill it all, but you're going to kill 100 or so things all at once, so that you'll it will balance out by the end. uh, Never take any damage ever. It's a pretty crazy thing. That it just seems like it shouldn't be possible in an MMO, but it is. Which, by the way, it could work even on players. That is the real kicker. Imagine getting it. But players also have something that NPCs don't really have called expertise rating, which that could lower their chances of getting 100%, because expertise allows you to it reduces the chance that you will be dodged or buried and missed and whatnot. So you would have to go way above 100% if they go and put a whole fuck ton of expertise. But yeah,
mm,
that's a that's a thing. That's all a thing. Yeah. So
oh.
I think that's a good chunk for the realistic and unrealistic stuff. What were your favorite scenes though?
My favorite scene, it had to be the faking Sally faking skills, and then the payoff of her showing that she's faking skills. And it's like, cool down,
That would
cool
only
down.
work in a game where you have to go and say your own skills and everything. That's the literal only time it would ever be a thing, which they are inside a game like that. But that's just hilarious. Oh man. If I wish that would be really interesting to see you like going inside a game, kind of like how they are, and having to say all the spells. Which, by the way, Payne showed it's actually if you just keep pressing them hard enough, you can't really cast spells. You can't even say it because you're just being attacked so relentlessly, so fast. Uh, so that's a thing that could happen. But yeah, which in theory, Sally would be really good for that. When it comes down to it, what's it called? Let me try to think of what my favorite scene was. I don't know what my favorite scene would be, but there are a lot of scenes I really liked. So, me versus Maple was a pretty fucking funny scene. Where Maple is literally just going through all the defenses and everything like that. And Maple's pretty much got them on the ropes and about to kill them. So, me does her final thing, her strongest thing possible. Because Maple went her war goddess mode thing, and me was like, time to use my strongest thing, and it pretty much nukes the entire place at the cost of her life, and everyone there dies. And she's like, "Oh, well, I can't believe she made me use it. I can't believe she killed us. Well, oh well. At least Maple went down." And then they interrupt her and it's like, "Oh man, I can't believe Maple was just fine after that." Wait, what? Yeah, we got some intel and information that didn't really even affect Maple. And then she just goes from cool, calm, and collective to running away crying. Oh man, that was just so fucking funny. Just one of those situations where the person who puts on a facade of trying to be as cool and calm and collective as possible just breaks down into tears because she lost in like the most humiliating way, because she risked everything and got nothing. No, like literally nothing happened. Maple wasn't even affected. uh, she resisted that fire pretty much.
That's probably the explosion. She has 50% resistance to that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just really fucking funny to see that. There. I mean, I think there was a lot of scenes I liked. I also really liked the one I explained earlier, where Pain uh explains how it's not cheating, it's just she's better, and then looked at the thing that they do next, where she turns into a raid boss, and because it's a 1 day cooldown, they don't want to get out of it. So instead, they have a few people mix their abilities together. One makes just images and whatnot, but the images don't do anything. And the other, I don't know what exactly it is. I think it like copies the stuff that they do to all of them. So technically, they made it perfect images, so that they were these images were 100% like real, just like Maple. So they were 6 raid bosses just going out and killing everything. And then he's like, and then he's pretty much just hesitating to say it's skill. It's not cheating. It's not cheating. Pretty much. Yeah. I think that was a really fucking funny scene. I just like the scene where the strongest people are pretty much just losing their cool just from purely seeing how stupid the shit is. I really like those scenes. You got any other favorite scenes?
Uh just every scene, just a lot of their expressions. Uh Basically any of the scenes where they like just make those funny expressions in reaction to what Maple does. I loved
Yeah.
all those scenes.
Yeah, this show has some really fucking good expressions and whatnot. The just random faces they all do and whatnot. It's like, it's real nice. All right. So, who was the best characters?
Sally.
Hmm. I think for the best character and whatnot, I think Maple's pretty far up there.
Yeah, Maple was up there too.
I think I would go with Maple for like one of the best characters. But enough about that. It's time to get into the infamous or the famous part of the podcast. Best waifu. One for appearance, one for personality. Go.
Misery is the hottest nun. Or is that her name, right?
Yes, Misery.
Misery is the hottest. Sally is the cutest, personality wise.
All right. And I guess it's my turn. So, personality, yeah, Sally, definitely. Although looks wise, it was pretty much a three-way tie for me: Katsumi, me, and Misery. But you know, Katsumi and Misery definitely pull out more than it. So I think by the end of it, I would have to say Misery. Misery is definitely the looks department wins. We know the true best character is NPC Mother. Oh man, I just like that. That's a freaking category. Is all the NPCs have their own actual shit. By the way, the that oh another thing about the realistic and unrealistic. By the way, I love that when you're doing the quest inside the game, that it has these character scripted things that no matter what happens, they will say the same scripts or whatnot. So, with Maple flying the escort quest over all the enemies, she's acting as if she almost got killed or something. Which, for one, that is realistic to all games, trust me. Because I've completed escort quest where that just completely you just blow through the entire thing and the escort person will never get hit, and yet they will still be there and be like, oh, thank you, there's no way I could have made it out alive without you. I almost died a few times. It was like, you never got hit. What do you mean you almost died? What do you mean? Yeah, that happens all the time in video games. I love it. So the fact that they added that in there was just so fucking funny. Like, this freaking quest that she was doing was supposed to be like super hard, but because of her ways of doing it, she didn't even notice. Because everything she's done, she already did, or she's flying. So she had like the entire quest line done already. So that was just a funny thing. What do you think about that, Kyrie? Kyrie?
Yes, yes, I'm here.
I was saying, what do you think about that?
I love the quest. It was funny.
All right.
The
Yeah, the NPC mother thing was just it was just funny. And that was to unlock that one ability that gave her angel form that increases the defense of every single ally within the proximity
Mhm.
up to her defense at the cost of a little bit of life. All right. I just love how the pets as well, whenever they're using their abilities and whatnot, the freaking turtle just goes turtle. They use the Japanese voice word, but it is saying turtle. Like, everything it does is just turtle. Even the beam is like turtle. All right. Well, you want to talk about the events?
Yes, the first one, Maple overpowered everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, literally just standing there, wasn't even sure what was going on. Kind of just really clueless and still got third place. She figured she didn't really need a move. A good part of it, was because she was too slow to do anything, anyways. The second event, that's where they met with, well, not where they met Sally, but where they were really showing Sally and Katsumi a lot, and that's where they were really utilizing the fact that Sally and Kasumi's speed to keep Maple up as well. Letting Maple ride on Sally's back, or anytime that they were linked together, they freaking just both used their speed and dragged Maple everywhere. That was pretty funny. They got some really good stuff at the end. And then the third event, I still say is a bit unrealistic. Let's go a little more into it, though.
Yes.
So the third event, where the penalty for dying is actually pretty fucking huge.
Yeah.
The penalty for dying is losing like percentage of your stats for the event. It's not like a permanent loss. So it's for the event. Every time you res, you lose some stats. And I think it went all the way up to either 15 or 25%. It was a lot. And so if you just kept dying and whatnot, it would just be easier to knock you out of the game eventually. So technically, if someone just ran in, burst all their nukes, ran out, and if it killed even one person, that's good, because they could just do it all again and keep doing it, and every time it would be easier. And it's like keeping that up, and it's like you could definitely destroy an entire base like that. But I think that's still more overpowered for really big guilds, because I still find this event to be pretty bullshit. That there can be a guild that's bigger than all the rest of the guilds combined, and the only penalty is that the other guilds get double the points. Not even all guilds get double the points, specifically just like really, really small ones. I was like, yeah. I don't think this event was balanced for shit.
Yeah.
I think whoever looked at this and made this an event, what's it called? They should probably be slapped. they made a pretty bad fucking event. I don't know. What do you think about that event?
The 3 hours for points, and then
I thought it was 8. I think it was 8 hours to get a point, but 3 hours to get your thing back after it was captured. Like after the point was actually conceived. Or something like that. I don't know. Let's just say it was quite a few hours.
It was like a few. Okay, fine. Whatever. Yeah, it was a few hours. You get the points, and then to go back. But we agreed at the time that like it was ridiculous intervals for the week-long event.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but then, like, we were originally talking about this before it, and our conclusion pretty much came to the fact of we can't tell if it is, like, super ridiculous or not, purely based on the idea of we have no idea how much in-game time converts to real time.
Yeah.
Like, that's literally the only reason we can't we can't make any real decisions on if this is insane or not. Ugh. And especially with it time skipping all the time, so we have absolutely no idea if it actually is in-game time. It could be real time, and they're just time skipping. But yeah, when it comes down to it, we can't say too much about the event until we find out what the conversion rate is. Alright, so what were your final thoughts about the show?
It is a must watch if you are into MMO stuff. It'll piss you off at some of the things, but it's fun at other parts. It's great.
Yeah, I really like the show. Quite a lot of stuff that are unrealistic, but there's a lot of stuff that seem unrealistic and seem like, who the fuck would code this? And it's like, well, there's there's real life examples of people fucking a game up that much, and only to have it changed later on and whatnot. It's like, yeah, yeah, it's more realistic than what people are giving it credit for and
Yeah.
whatnot. But it's not like hyper, amazing, or it's not like hyper accurate because it is still going for a good like storyline and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I think it for me, I thoroughly enjoyed it, but everything's good. Not everyone enjoyed it. In fact, there was a bit of a controversy for it. So, Carrie, have you ever heard of the Bofuri controversy?
I have, but why don't you tell me anyway? Tell us.
So, the controversy that happened in Bofuri was in the sub, it made a light sexual joke, just a light one and whatnot. But it did it quite a few times. But in the dub, they kept changing the joke to no longer be a sexual in nature joke. In fact, they changed it for, believe it changed it for multiple jokes, not just the one and whatnot. So it just got, a bit of a controversy that they were needlessly changing jokes because there was absolutely no language barrier, no nothing that made the joke needing to be changed and whatnot. But they were pretty much saying it was cultural differences. That is why they changed the joke, which made absolutely no sense because it translates over to Americans very easily. But yeah, I think a lot of bullshit just gets jammed into the cultural differences kind of thing because there usually isn't. They're just saying there is. Oh, what's your take?
I think it was silly to change it. I mean, the the light sexual connotations, it's whatever.
Yeah, I mean, what's it called? If you didn't enjoy it in there, you then probably shouldn't pick it up. And
Like,
you probably shouldn't pick it up and just completely say, "Yeah, I'll do this work." It's like, okay, you're not doing this work. You're trying to rewrite it. It's like that's not you translating it, but whatever.
it's not a big deal, but it's not a nothing deal.
hmm I think a lot of people made it pretty big. Me, I just think it's more representative of that they think they can just do whatever they want with any show without anyone creating a big enough backlash to care. I think it's more of representative of that rather than it's a big thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, final. Would you what would you rate this show?
Probably an 8.
Yeah,
Solid 8.
I thought it was pretty good. Um, I'd probably either rate it like an 8, maybe a 9. There's just some parts of it. There's just some parts of it that I would say maybe not much, but 7, 8, maybe a 9. I'd say probably 8. A good 8. All right. Is there any last things you want to add to it?
Not that I can think of.
Well, all right then. This has been Weebanomics. Do you want to make the outro?
Sure. Thank you for joining us. This has been Weebanomics. I am Kyrie Luminous at KyrieLuminous on Twitter.com, and this has been my co-host.
The Unknown Otaku at the Nono Otaku at Twitter.com, I guess. And that is all for me. Good
Bye.
goodbye everyone.